What is up, you lovers of all things locks? I do hope you guys are having a beautiful Wednesday. Welcome back to the Zip Betray You channel. Hit that like button so that we can keep this channel growing. And let's get right into today's topic. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 mistakes that I made with my dreadlocks. Let's get to it. So the first mistake that I made very early in my lock journey was I was not rinsing the shampoo out of my locks thoroughly. I thought I was rinsing it thoroughly, but as you guys know, because of gravity, everything runs down. So not only was the shampoo running down the length of my lock and congregating at the tips, but it was also running back. And what ended up happening was I developed buildup. It was buildup from shampoo. Yes, the very thing that I was using to clean them was actually causing buildup in that back row. So once I discovered that I had buildup in that back row, and I'm telling you, I was traumatized and devastated, but I kept pushing for it. I persevered. I did an ACV rinse. I got it out. And from then on, I was sure to thoroughly rinse out all the shampoo from root to tip, from front to back. The second mistake that I made, once again, earlier on in my journey is that I was retwisting a little bit too tightly. Now, even from the very beginning, I was aware of the dangers of retwisting too tightly, and I honestly didn't think that I was. I mean, it wasn't like my roots were buckling or anything, but I noticed that the top of my hair, which is already less dense as is, was starting to thin out even more than it should have. And I was looking at some pictures of the top of my head after I had retwisted, and I'm like, yeah, that's too tight. So once I noticed that, with each successive retwist, I made sure to be a little bit lighter with my retwisting, you know, not trying to necessarily grab every single strand, and just really keeping the point in the forefront of my mind that, hey, the purpose of this retwist is to separate your locks essentially. It's not to lay every strand down. So once I did that, my scalp started to thicken back up to its fullest potential, and it's been gravy ever since. But yeah, brother was retwisting too tightly, and I knew about it. No excuse. The third mistake that I made was that I was not getting my locks all the way clean when I washed. This is back when I was really using Dr. Bronner's Castile soap a lot. And so, you know, I would do the 2 to 3 washes like shampoos, but you know, it's soap. And then I would think that my hair is clean, rinse it out a lot. And then I would get in front of the mirror and I noticed this white film on the front of my head, like right up here at the top. And I'm like, what is this? And it was so annoying. So then, you know, I'm pretty much all dried off now, ready to, like I said, do the retwist. And then I would have to like hop back in the shower and like shampoo some more to get it all out. So yeah, I was definitely guilty of not really thoroughly cleansing my locks. But this is a good segue to the next mistake, which serves as an explanation for why I wasn't getting those locks thoroughly cleansed. And that is, I was using too much oil on my locks. Remember that front section that I was just talking about? Well, naturally, quite naturally, that's the first place that you either spray whatever oil you're using, or if you're using a dropper, dropping oil droplets. You start there, and a lot of times you end there after you've made your rounds, you kind of end back there. So I was putting way too much oil on my locks in the front. And so there was this buildup of oil. And so the amount of shampoo or soap that I would use for the rest of my head, well, it wasn't enough to combat all of the oil that had built up in the front because I was heavy-handed with the oil. Once I figured that out, I let up on the oil usage, and I've been pretty much gravy ever since. Now, I want to also mention that when it came to actually getting that oil out of my locks, the Dr. Bronner's was not doing it. And I know it's supposed to be known for how well it clarifies, but it was not working for me. So what I ended up using was some dishwashing liquid. It was actually Ajax, the kind with lemon, and that, you know, is known to cut the grease So that definitely helped immediately get rid of the oil that was on the surface of my strands of hair. So yeah, just a pro tip, if you can't get that oil off, use some sort of safe degreaser like Ajax with lemon. Now the fifth and final mistake that I was making, and this probably happened more towards the middle of my journey, was that I was not reincorporating that new growth into the lock. Now normally this happens when you do a retwist or you do any type of maintenance on your locks. That's the time where you gather that new growth and you put it into the lock. Why does this matter, you ask? Well, it matters if you are someone who has hair, like me, that grows away from your locks. That means that as your new growth grows out of your scalp, it does not grow into your lock. It grows away from your locks, outside of the lock, okay? And so over time, that means that there are fewer strands attached to the lock. Fewer strands attached to the lock really means the lock is thinning. And over time, as you go through your hair growth cycle and hairs shed, right, that's fewer and fewer strands holding on to that lock. And this is why some people wake up and find a lock on their pillow or on the floor or something. So I wasn't reincorporating that new growth into the lock because I have hair that grows away from my locks. Once I realized that my locks were thinning, because I wasn't doing this, everything was okay. And this, of course, was when I learned about the braid technique. So now, for those problematic locks, where the hair especially grows away, I just braid that new growth into the lock. And that hair stays attached to the lock as it grows out. And you actually don't have to use that technique very often because the hair is braided in. So yeah, that's the fifth and final mistake. Now, I'm going to mention a couple of mistakes that I've seen other people make that I have not made. One would be bleaching my locks. I've never bleached my locks because I never thought that my hair, it's very fine, could take it. And another thing is I've never gotten super tight styles. Actually, I've never gotten any styles for that matter. Tengo pendiente hacer two-strand twists in my hair. I will one day do two-strand twists. This is something that I used to do before I had locks and something that I wanted to do very early in my journey when I saw people with longer locks have the crinkles. So I just haven't gotten around to do it. But other than that, yeah, no tight styles, no bleach. And I think these are just a couple of reasons that, I have a healthy set right now. So hopefully you will avoid my mistakes and even the mistakes that I didn't make, and you will grow out a healthy set of locks yourself. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more content, be sure to subscribe and let me know what mistakes you have made. Drop down below in the comment section. Let me know what mistakes that you have made, how you corrected them, and what mistakes you were sure to avoid. If you choose to love, do so unconditionally, because loving with conditions conditions the heart to not really love at all. Subitria is out.